Jim invited a bunch of people in Harlem to go to one of his shows in Miami. So I'm handing out the room keys when we got to Miami. I met everyone there. And I'm like, okay, Mendeecees Harris. And I remember immediately thinking, this boy is gorgeous. But, you know, I'm working. And as far as I knew at the time, this is one of Jim's friends. So everybody went up to their rooms. Later on that night, Jim had to go host a party. So I'm making sure everybody gets into the vans and they're all dressed up. I come down in like my sweats, and Mendeecees is like, you coming to the party like that, or you not coming? I was like, oh, I'm not going. He was like, you not going? He was like, oh, I'm probably not gonna go either. I was like, okay. So I pile everybody in the vans. They leave to go to the club. And I went to the bar. He came to the bar, and he's like, why didn't you go? I said, oh, I never party with my client, I'm good. And he's like, let me buy you a drink. And I was like, okay. And then, you know, he's like, where you from? I'm like, I'm from Harlem. And he's like, me too. We stayed up all night, down in the lobby, till they came back from the party. It had to be like 5, 6 in the morning, because they went to eat, and we were still talking. Everybody saw us up all night, and they were like, I never fraternized with any of Jim's friends, none of that. So the next day was the big show for the radio station. After Jim performed, I was like, you know, I'm leaving to go back to New York. They were staying for the rest of the weekend. So I'm saying my goodbyes to everybody, like I'm getting out of here. And Mendeecees was like, where you going? I was like, oh, you know, I just want to make sure the show went good, his booking went good, so I'm just gonna go home. And he was like, well, if you leaving, then I'm leaving too. And I'm like, you're leaving? What do you mean? And he was like, I don't want to be here if you're not here. And I'm like, excuse me? So we get to the airport, and he books a flight. We got on the plane, and Mendeecees tells the guy, I'm sitting next to some man, and he's like, I'll give you $200 if you let me sit next to her. So I'm like, who this? You want to sit next to me for $200?